How many years
I
is it
don't know how many years. Let's work it out.
At least 2.
Oh, it's more than that.
COVID?
3.
Post-COVID.
Post-COVID.
We've got to look it up on Fat Llama.
Yeah, do it. I did this with my hairdresser the other day. We worked out it was 8 years.
Fat Llama's all changed though, so I don't know whether it will be I rent.
How's it changed?
Completed bookings.
Yeah, it's all your bookings.
Completed bookings. No, that's...
Should I not tap my fingers?
I rent out. Completed bookings. All the way back here. Amy, May 22.
Oh, so it's 2.5 years.
2.5.
2.5 years. God, it's dragged. Sorry. No, that's a complete lie. For some reason, it just feels longer. I don't know.
And this, ladies and gentlemen, is what you have for the next hour.
22. So that is 2.5 years. So it was just after COVID. We ended up on the garage forecourt talking for about an hour and a half.
Felt like an hour and a half. If you give, you got to take it, Amy. It was a great conversation.
It was a great conversation. It was a very, very open and honest conversation, which I loved. And just the fact that I'd met this crazy guy who just went, blah, and it was great. It's like, wow, don't meet many people like that.
No, and here we are.
And here we are.
And that's, I guess, what this is about. You know, this podcast is great chats.
Great chats.
Great chats begin with interesting questions. I probably asked you an interesting question at the time.
I'm sure you did. You're full of them.
That conversation. It's always a fun place to start. But we've worked together for quite a few years now.
2.5.
On and a half, 2.5. What do you wish people understood about you?
Oh, my Lord. I wish I understood myself, quite honestly. What do I wish people understood about me? That's, I have, God, you've got such good questions. I feel like I need to think about that for 24 hours before I can answer it.
That's the point. But if you think about it for 24 hours, then it will be a different answer
What do I wish people understood about me? Really, I don't know. What do I want people to understand about me? I don't feel I necessarily want people to, I don't feel any need, reason, longing, desire for people to, I don't care what people's perception of me. I don't care about that, I think. Do I feel that I want people to understand it? I don't think it's something. I certainly can't think now. My reaction is, you can think what you like. I don't feel that you need to understand anything about me. I think.
Has that always been the case?
No, probably. I am a very different person to what I was a few years ago, quite a few years ago, I suppose. Like, my 20s. You know, my personality has developed a lot. I've done a lot of how would you describe it? Just, I've done the work.
Nice.
To a certain degree.
That's a great way of putting it.
To a certain degree. But yeah, I would have cared a lot more before about what people think about me. And I would have maybe felt the need for them to, I don't know. Explain things. I don't know. Yeah.
It's certainly as creatives, like, that's a journey that we all go through, like, big time. And it feels to me like you're on the other end of that, based upon what you just said.
Right.
And I think that's really helpful for people. to witness and see and understand, and because especially if you're in the middle of that journey or that feels so far away or unachievable or whatever, like, did you ever feel like you'd be in the position that you are now?
With regards
In
to
that
how I
regard.
feel about that question, did I ever feel that I'd feel? Did I ever think I'd feel that? Possibly not. No.
So
I probably hoped maybe that I would, but I think no, I guess not, because I'm not sure many people do feel like that. I think maybe it's, or certainly not younger people. I think as you get older, you begin to care less about,
and that's been helpful to you.
Hugely, yeah. I think it helps you to gain clarity as to who you are and what you want to, live your life for you, essentially, which makes you happier, right? Do the things that you want to do rather than playing some sort of role and living up to and trying to live up to people's expectations. And
So what do you wish people understood about you?
That I don't care what they think.
Yeah. Nice. What do you're a videographer?
Yeah.
No.
I don't know. I've just never liked that word.
No, neither have I.
Because it's just so all-encompassing of so many things, and people. I mean, I don't have an issue with about the word, really. I have. It's what people. It's the image people conjure up. Most people would conjure up with regards to a videographer. That they think, oh yeah, you just turn up with your camera, do a bit of that, go home, and a few hours later you've got people don't understand all the roles involved. I don't know what word I would. Well, I'm stepping more and more into producer role now. So, yeah. Thanks to somebody I met on a garage forecourt.
Wow. I'm just happy to help. It's a pleasure, and it's been wonderful to sort of see that from a distance and be part of that, and it's a real pleasure. What do you hope people gain from your work?
What do I hope people gain from my work? Most of my work, all of my work, really. Well, not all. The vast majority. Let's go with 99% of my work has all been paid work for clients. And what do I hope people gain from that? For me, the work that I put myself out for, that we try and get, is very much about filming people. It's about bringing the human element to, a client's online communications, essentially. That's the paid work. So that is just, for me, I hope what's happening is it's just helping communication in business, whether it's marketing or internal comms or whatever, it just to be human and to help, just to help keep communication as human as possible when it's all so very much online. Because humanness is a very important thing to me. Yeah.
Real world stuff, rather than it all being human to human connection, rather than chat. And what do you mean?
What do I mean by human? It's keeping. It's all about remembering that when you're communicating with somebody, that is a human person, rather than just pinging off email. Because when you're in work mode, right, or whatever, it's very easy just to or not even just in work mode, but online, just digital communication can be very easy to forget that you're actually conversing with a person.
So what does that look like in your work? How do you inject that?
How to inject that into the work, into work.
That philosophy, that it being about that rather than just being another video.
Well, it's the kind of work that we do.
Right.
You know, it's all filming people. It's all about, as I'm sure many, you know, videographers, video company, whatever you want to call them, content creators do is, you know, there's a lot of talking head stuff and interview stuff, which is great because that is all about, you know, seeing a person talk and listening to a person talk and very clearly human. And it's just like focusing on that kind of work, essentially. Like, I just don't do. Somebody came along and said, "Oh, we've got this product and we need to make 50 Instagram reels and this and that, what for it?" I would be like, that's not, in fact, that happened the other day. Somebody was asking me about that and I said, I'm really not the person for you. So it's all about, and ultimately, as things progress, I want to get more interesting work, which is more about, you know, sharing. It's about the stories behind the business, you know, showing the people behind the business. That's the thing. It's remembering that businesses are people, essentially.
So if it wasn't about the money, what would you be doing? What work would you be doing?
Well, there's the interesting bits. Yeah. So,
well, that's the point.
Funnily enough, do you know, because I hadn't thought about this for ages, because things have been busy. Life, work, kids, other stuff. But funnily enough, this morning I was having a conversation with Patricia, the organizer of the TEDx St Albans, and we went off on a complete tangent on a conversation about loneliness, and it was related to one of the talks from last year.
Okay.
And we just ended up going down this road, and I ended up saying it was about loneliness and other things, sort of like all the things that surround that, and about housing and how that can affect it, and all things community. And we ended up having like a 20-minute discussion about that, and I ended up telling her, you know, about all my ideas for documentaries that I've had related to all of this stuff, and she's like, "Oh my God, this is really good. You should talk to somebody about some of these ideas." And it just all seems so far away, though. It all seems so unattainable, and you kind of think, well, where would I start with that? And also, do you know, a thought that came into my head is, yeah, but because she was sort of saying, "Oh yeah, we want to go to one of the TV, go to Channel 4 or something, you know, find some." I'm like, but would people really want to, you know, the stuff that you see on TV makes me so sad. The things that people actually watch and want to watch on mainstream TV, I'm talking about. You kind of think it's just a bit sad that that's what people are consuming, rather than interesting stuff that actually matters and can help change the world in a positive way.
Is that stuff helping them in any way that they watch?
Stuff that they're watching? I mean, obviously there's stuff there that's going to help people, but I just see a lot of content on TV, programs on. I mean, I don't see them as in I watch them. I don't really watch that much TV. But when I'm at my mum and dad's house and I see the stuff that they're watching, you know, it's all there. I just think, what is that doing for you? I find it quite. It's just quite sad. Yeah.
I know what you mean. I absolutely.
And my mum and dad are probably, you know, quite representative, certainly, of their generation. Couldn't think of the word there. Generation. With regards to that, and yeah, I mean, some of the stuff that you see. Yeah.
Guilty pleasure is the word that is
Guilty
used.
pleasure. Yeah. Anyway.
Do you have any guilty pleasures?
Yeah, of course I do. I mean, I was watching Emily in Paris the other day. Of course I do. Of course I do. But I like to think that it's the minority of what I do watch. Not that I watch a vast amount, to be honest.
So, if we remove all of that, is there an angle to get you past this? Because this is what I want this to be about, is, as our conversations always are about, is moving forward. So if there's this barrier of people don't watch the right stuff and it's not right, blah, 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 then give them something else to watch.
Yeah. And that's a very valid point. And also, that's just the only reason I brought that up is because, Patricia said, Channel 4. And I'm just thinking, well, yeah. But that doesn't stop me making something myself, on my own and putting it out there, which I have started to do.
I was going to say, you're already doing
I
it.
have done a lot of hours of filming on a mini documentary that I am making. And I've got all of these hours of filming sat there waiting for me to actually start editing. So, the real what's the real barrier? What's the real barrier? Because I would just automatically say time. I think probably fear that I'm not going to think what I've done is any good.
How do you know? You haven't watched it.
Well, no, I know, but that's the fear. That's what's stopping me. Do you know what I mean?
The potential
I think there's probably some sort of block there with regards to that. I mean, I'll just say, it's time. I haven't had the time, which is, like I say, we've all got busy lives and we can all use that excuse. But in reality, is that what it is? I don't know. But as we're talking about it, I am going to make a commitment to review my footage and start editing.
I've heard this before.
He hasn't.
I definitely have.
Yeah, in the next 2 weeks. This has actually been on my mind recently. So I absolutely am gonna do it because I've got so many ideas of things I would love to make that I believe would. Well, I don't necessarily believe they would, but I'd love to think that they might just help somebody make a positive decision or make a decision to do something positive in their lives that would impact their lives in a positive way.
Positive?
Positive.
That's a big word. Positive. What does positive look like?
Improve their lives, improve the world, improve somebody else's life somehow.
And so when you talk about human element, is the positive and the human element, is that what it's really about?
Is that what it's really about?
So just bringing you back to the human element of your work and the way that you, for your, as you say, paid work, but doing something positive for the world, sort of B Corp type vibe situation. Is that what it's about for you?
The paid work?
Well, just what you do, what you're hoping for, what you want people to gain.
What I want people to gain. See, the B Corp, because you said B Corp, that just makes me think corporate clients, right? Okay. So that's why I'm saying, are you talking about paid work? But yeah, it is.
But what I'm talking about your time. I'm talking about what you want to give to the world and do for the world, because that seems like what's important to you. And I know that's what's important to you.
Yeah.
So rather than separating paid work and project work, it's about you and how you view it and your inspiration to do these things and what you inject into the work that you do in order to achieve what?
So it's about making positive impact with a visible impact.
Boom. Not visual. No.
No, it is not visual and not, can I just say, as somebody wrote in their email the other day, invisible impact.
Amy's company is called Visible Impact. And we have an ongoing thing where I accidentally say visual impact, and it makes Amy very upset.
It used to make Amy very upset. Now, Amy just finds it funny. Most of the time.
Bloody marvellous.
Invisible was just quality.
That is quality. What is going on?
So, what was the question?
Good question.
About making a positive impact with the paid work. Yeah, it essentially, yes, it's about making a positive impact through business. But not all work, there's some work where I think, paid work, where I'm thinking, what am I doing? What is this doing? What is this doing? Why am I doing it?
It's paying the bills.
It's paying the bills, but yeah, we've had this conversation so many times. That's not what you can pay the bills with. It's about finding the right work, isn't it? So yeah, maybe I need to focus on that more. Yeah,
creating the opportunities to create the positive impact rather than
And that, and this is something that I've thought about is, if you just crack on. When I say I'm talking about me. If I just crack on with the editing of this mini documentary that I filmed and start on the other ideas that I'm having and all of that, then who knows what paid work would come from that, because it all filters through, right? So that's really, but it's scary because you think, well, I need to get paid now to pay the bills now.
What sacrifices do you need to make in order to do that?
Whew. What sacrifices do I need to make? I don't know. I can't make any more sacrifices financially, I don't think. What would I sacrifice?
Because it's time, right?
It's time.
Time is your
I
yourself.
see my excuse to myself. Right. Okay. So what sacrifices? So that's outside of. I'm not sacrificing any time with my children. Full stop. Because as we were just saying, one is about to, go off to uni or travel the world or whatever she decides to do next year. And that is something you will never get back. Do you know what? I'm sat here thinking, weekends, think of the weekends. What happens? What could I not be doing in order to be sat at my computer just doing this? And it's all things which are just really important, which is, exercise. I run. I've been going on hikes with a friend, walking the dogs. All of that outdoor fresh air stuff is so important to me. Being out in nature, really, really important to me, has been for a long time. And then, I'm running around being a taxi for the girls.
But that's time with them.
That's time with them. Yeah.
You could say.
You could say, possibly not quality time, but no. It's kind of all you get when they're in their teens, just letting, advance warning. So yeah, there must be. I don't spend 12 hours of the day out in nature and with my children. So there must be things that I was after. Food is important to me. You see, I take care of myself. I meal prep, spend time cooking. And I've thought of this before though, is I'm thinking of all the big things, the things that take the bigger time. Do you know what I think of? Is all the minutes if you add them up of when you I'll just have a quick scroll for 5 minutes. And then that turns into 10 minutes. And that, I don't know, maybe you don't do this. I don't know.
Absolutely.
And, you know, 5 minutes turns into 15 minutes. And then that probably happens, I don't know, however many times a day, 5 times a day, 6 times a day. And it's like, well, actually, maybe let's call it an hour and a half.
There's your hour and
a
a half.
day.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And there you go.
Hour.
If you do an hour and a half a day of editing, well,
it's done.
Boom. So there we go. So I've got no excuses. I've just figured it out.
On the spot.
On the spot.
It's so difficult though, isn't it? You know, because it is almost processing time for yourself, but you're not processing because you're consuming. And at this point, and we've spoken to people like Toby, who's basically a social media wizard. You know, he makes ads he makes social ads, so he knows, he's up to the eyeballs in information about how people consume social media, and it's every generation is hooked on one or the other platform,
right?
You know, so if this is a universal problem at this point that everybody struggles with. So I think you saying it and saying, look, yeah, this is it, and this is where the time goes, and it's very important to put out there and say, look, you're not the only one. So I think that's very valuable.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think when it happens to me during the day, because I wouldn't say I was somebody that was like massive. I mean, I know people that do, you know, in the evening, they'll pick it and then I'll just be on there for an hour solid or whatever. And I wouldn't do that. And that's the thing that I do struggle with, actually, is I'm not great at working in the evening, like creative work. I can sit there and do my bookkeeping or my, you know, whatever, but the creative stuff, I'm just much better in the daytime. So, yeah. And I guess in the daytime, I feel the pressure to do the paid work. So I think, well, I've got to do it because, you know, the whole 9 to 5 mentality, which part of the reason working for myself is to not feel that, but it's really hard to not feel that.
I mean, 9 to 5 is there for a reason as well. That's, you know, optimum time for productivity, you could say, but it could or it couldn't be. Or do you have any things that you know? What are the things that you figured out at this point that work for you and don't work for you? What do you do in order to optimize your productivity and get things done?
Don't know. If you find out, let me know. Productivity.
What's that?
Do you know,
what do you mean? What do you mean productivity?
I'll tell you what's really helped me so I've probably told you, I had a recent overhaul with sort of like my systems and the platforms that I use to work. And so essentially that boils down to becoming more organized. And that's helped massively with as it would, you know. But that has helped hugely with productivity, because I just feel, because I'm more organized in real life, I'm more organized in my head, and I just feel a lot more on top of things, which is great. Do you know, meditating helps me with productivity, because it just clears the mind. I'm at the moment meditating for 45 minutes in the morning.
Wow.
Maybe I should be editing.
Well,
but that really helps to just clear. Well, I mean, that's what meditating, everybody knows that. It's about clearing your mind. But if you can get into a habit of doing it regularly and doing it for a long time, I don't need to tell you this because Laura does this. But, you know, it really does carry on throughout the day, and you can just remain quite focused. Or it certainly works for me. What
sort of things, I'm going to say the word, plague your mind if you don't?
What sort of things plague my mind? Well, money's always there.
Sure.
Bills are always there, you know. I think more than anything else, well, other than money and that side of things, I think more than anything else, it's just my mind feels more organised. My mind, it just feels more. Yeah, there's just less. I wouldn't say there's anything in particular that plagues my mind, other than I need to get more work. I would just say it helps me just for it to be clearer in general, and because otherwise I'm just a bit more kind of all over the place rather than anything particularly.
I know exactly what you mean.
And also, actually, on that topic, have you heard of lion's mane?
Yes.
Yeah. Ben's nodding. Have you tried it? Yeah, I want to try it. Ah, does it work?
She said she didn't know if it was placebo or that.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter whether it's placebo or not, does it, I guess? So, yeah, just tell me it works and then it will work. That's it. Yeah, yeah, Amy, it works. Go get some. All right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, easy sell. Have you ever sabotaged your own success?
Probably by not doing any editing. Well, that's what it's all about, isn't it?
That's pretty good.
That's what it's all about. I mean, who knows? Who knows? I could be sat. I mean, I'm not saying I am. Obviously, the chances are extremely slim that anything would come directly from this mini documentary. But there is a teeny tiny chance that something amazing could happen.
Does that matter?
Does it matter? No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Do you know what? Just if one person saw it and thought, oh, that's inspired me to, they just thought, you know what, I'm going to do that. I'm going to go out and I'm going to find whatever it is that I want to do as my third place. Because all I do is go to work and sit in my box, watching my box. That would be amazing.
Tell me about the third place.
The third place is, well, the third place comes from sociology, right? I think, where it's just describing, or it's just explaining how everybody needs a third place. So you've got work, you've got home, and then what do you have? Because at work, you've got obviously pressures. You've got at home. At home can be a very relaxing place, but often it's not. And obviously you've got the same people at work and the same people at home. And, there's this idea of this third place where it's about you. So it's not about your colleagues. It's not about your family. It's just about you. And you've chosen it because you enjoy it. And it may be a place where there are other people that you have chosen to be with just because they're giving you the good vibes for whatever reason. And that third place, historically might have been church. It might have been, well, and still is for very few people, like the pub, I mean, I guess traditionally a male thing to do, but, you get home from whatever and you escape to the pub and see your mates and have a pint, whatever. And yeah, so the third place is your you time, where you can be you and just forget about the worries of home and work. And so I'm really interested in people's third places, particularly ones that are positive, because I'm sure there are some that maybe have more of a negative impact on people's lives. But yeah, and so I'm really interested in. So my mini documentary that I've been working on I'm going to call it a micro documentary because that's probably more realistic, is about a third place of a group of middle-aged women, essentially.
What do you hope people are going to gain from that?
I hope this particular, if somebody watched this creation that I'm making, I would hope the best outcome for me would be if they thought, you know what, those women are so happy This, what they've got there, that community that they've got, because essentially that's it, it's community. It's human interaction, positive human interaction. The best outcome would be if somebody saw it and thought, isn't that great? I want to find somewhere that gives me that feeling. And it doesn't have to be related at all to the community that this documentary is based on, but just that idea of having their own community where they go on a regular basis, whether it's once a week, or whether it's every day, whatever it is, that gives them something, that just makes them feel good. Because lots of people don't get the chance to feel particularly good.
What does community mean to you?
Community is just really important, and something which the Western world seems to be forgetting about, and it's really sad. It's support, it's communication, it's understanding, it's having something in common with people, it's feeling belonging, it's coming outside of your box. That we're all sat in these little boxes. It's coming outside of that box, and it's about curiosity. It's about other people. It's about understanding that the richness, this is getting so deep, of humanity, but the richness of other people and people doing things a bit differently to the way you do them is an amazing thing. It's about it's the opposite of social media. That's what it's about, or that element of it. Social media being so Black Mirror, right? It's just you're just in this echo chamber. And community to me is the opposite of that. It's kind of like, well, yeah, you might all have something in common, but also there's just this richness of difference and feeling a connection. It's about connection. We must feel connected. That's what, when we're born, that's what you look for, right? You look for you're looking for faces. Babies look for faces as soon as they're born, don't they? That's what they want to see. It's a human face. And that's hardwired into us. That never leaves us. But then life comes along and all this other stuff comes along, and we kind of lose the sense of importance of that, I think. Or we just get used to seeing the same faces. Sometimes the same one face, at home, you and your partner, you and your kids, and you've got your fat, and you just, and you think that's it. And it's like, well, life would be so much better if you brought more faces. And that's, oh God, we've had this conversation so many times. Historically, the community, the village, it takes a village to raise a child. Yeah. That's community.
Means a lot to you.
It means a lot to me. It means a lot.
What's your box?
What's my box? What's my box that I need to break out of? I think my box is just me telling myself that I don't have the time, and that it's not important. The bills are the important thing. Making all the excuses, I think that's my box. Because what I'd really love to be doing, all this stuff that I'm talking about now and all the ideas and all of that, that is what I'd love to be doing. And so my box is all of those things, and maybe, yeah, I just need to work away of breaking through that.
Who built that box?
I'd love to say society. I hate that word. Because it kind of has. Who else built that box? Life, as you grow up, you build your box. Everything around you builds your box along with this. That's what builds your box, right? Your experiences. Yeah. It's a combination of you and your experiences. Build your mental boxes, or your physical boxes.
I get a strong sense that you don't want a box.
A box, mental or physical? What are we talking about? I don't want a box. I don't know the word box. No, I mean boxed in any sense, physical or yeah. No, completely. Yeah. But box is about containing, right? Isn't it? It's about containing, protecting.
There's safety in there, though.
There's safety, and we all need safety sometimes. Sometimes. I think people miss out on so much in life because they're scared to leave their safety. They're scared of change. They're scared to just take the leap. Could be talking about myself here. You're looking at me nodding with that smile. Yeah, scared to take the leap in their box because it's safe.
So is there anything you regret not doing due to fear?
Do you know what? I've done a lot. I've made a few scary decisions in my life that I know other people, the majority of other people, would not have made. So, is there anything I haven't done because of fear? Apart from maybe editing this documentary.
What have you done?
What have I done? The first big scary decision that I took is when I was around late 20s. Can't remember the exact age, but late 20s. I had a great job in corporate. I was in sales and marketing, and I'd financially done great, the career ladder, it was all cushy, but I absolutely hated it. Honestly, I didn't know why I hated it. I just felt like a black sheep. That's what I felt like. I felt like a black sheep, and I didn't know why. Everyone else seemed completely fine. All my colleagues and my friends at work were like fine. And I just used to think, why do I feel so unfulfilled and so unhappy? And I felt like I couldn't relate. I had friends, but the majority of people, I had friends at work, but the majority of people at work, I just couldn't relate to. I just felt like I was from a different planet, and I didn't know why. And so I decided to leave to study photography because I'd always loved photography. I always had a camera in my hand. And I just thought, if I don't do it now, I'm never going to do it. So I left my great salary and my company car and my company credit card and became a student, which was really cool. It's very scary, but it was really cool. And I loved it. So that was the first scary thing that I did. And I survived. And the second huge, big, scary thing I did was, well, actually, in between those times, maybe not, it's not quite as huge and scary. I decided to stop doing photography and start doing video, knowing nothing whatsoever about video, knowing nobody that did video. And I just kind of made a decision to, yes, take a bit of a sidestep. And everyone thought I was completely bonkers. But you know what? I'm still alive. And it's working out. And then another big scary decision is I decided to leave a very long-term relationship with my ex-partner, who is the father of my children. But it's all completely amicable and we get on great. The kids are happy, everything's happy. You know, it's great. So and I guess with reference to that, I should probably say, you know, there was nobody had done anything wrong in that relationship. It was purely the classic, you know, we've been together for 25 years. We've grown apart. We're very different people. You know, it's okay. We could muddle along for the next however many years. But do people want to muddle along in life? So, yeah, I'm still alive after that. And financially, things are hard because I think that's, you know, the reality is, I know people don't like to hear it, but the reality is, having spoken to so many people about this since having made that decision, so many couples around this age and older, you know, the reason, the sort of big reason that they're still together really is a financial one. I think that's really sad. I'm sure, don't get me wrong, I'm sure there are millions of happy couples that have been together for that. Of course there are. But I know, having spoken to, you know, people have been very honest with me, or they've been, you know, they've sort of said about friends who are in that position or whatever. And I had no idea. Because people don't speak to you about this stuff until you've got a story to tell in that, you know, and then people start opening up to you about their own situations. And it's really sad. And yeah, it's hard financially. It's really hard, especially living in one of the most expensive cities in the country. But I'm alive.
And kicking.
And kicking. And I feel like me, which I hadn't done in a while. And I'm sure that he is feeling more like him as well. So, yeah. So I encourage everybody to go make some big, scary decisions.
What haven't you done, though? That's
what
the
haven't
question.
I done? That was the question.
Apart from make your documentary.
Yeah.
That can be the answer.
I think it is the answer. I can't think, I mean, what else haven't I done? I mean, when I was younger, I didn't travel. I could have gone off traveling, you know, after school, but I didn't. Probably because I was scared to do it and it just felt too big. But that's when I was a lot younger. I'm a very different person now.
This is bloody awesome. I love talking to you. It's great.
I love talking to you too.
Great. It's bloody great. Are you good at saying you're sorry?
I am now. I didn't used to be. This is a common theme.
Sounds like there's been a lot of growth.
Huge amount. Yeah, massively. On so many levels. Not not that, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not that I was an awful person. I'm probably making it sound like I was a complete,
Get the old videos out, Ben.
cow in my
Bloody
20s.
hell, that Amy, Christ.
But just emotionally and just understanding myself and how I view the world, I've changed massively, and I just wouldn't hesitate to take accountability, responsibility for anything, and apologise to somebody for whatever it is. Yeah.
But that wasn't always the case.
No, I think I was probably just a lot more stubborn and a lot less, just a bit more not wanting to accept that I might have been wrong about stuff. I don't know. Yeah.
Bloody difficult, isn't it?
Mm.
I'm not wrong. You're wrong. When did you start taking yourself seriously?
Oh, do I? I'm not sure that started. Taking myself seriously. I don't know. I've never thought I take myself particularly seriously. Maybe I need to. Maybe it's something I should work on.
Says who?
Well,
Your box.
my box. There you go. Yeah.
Or not. Yeah, wow. No, but it's a great question, because you want to say things, you want to make things that show people something. You want to make this documentary that shows people about their third place, and
Right.
this is and so it's about taking it seriously in order to make it happen.
Okay. Yeah. So I need to take myself more seriously then.
Well,
I think. Yes, you're right.
or the project. I mean,
The
I'm not
project.
suggesting you should or you shouldn't. It's a great. This is explorative.
I think the phrase or just the word seriously
You
has
have
connotations.
Aversion to?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I do, because, well, I don't know why, but seriously, to me, just, yeah. I'm not vibing with it.
What's the feeling?
What's it when
yeah.
the word serious?
Yeah. What do you picture?
Corporateness. Because I think really, something like that, the sort of creative side and this creating of a documentary, ultimately it's playing, isn't it? It's being curious, it's exploring, it's kind of playing. So the word serious to me doesn't, But maybe...
Go on.
But maybe I need to apply the meanings behind serious to myself rather than to the,
You were saying earlier the documentary, even if it goes somewhere, or even if it is something or something, but now you're saying that it's about playing. So is it that you're taking the documentary too seriously?
That you could have a very valid point. Yeah, probably. Do you know what? I think you might have hit the nail on the head there. I think that maybe it just, to me, seems like this big thing, like it's a, it's a documentary. It's serious. It's big. And actually, no, it is just playing. it is just playing. So I probably need to view it like that. And you've said this to me about the stuff that you've created. Doesn't matter if it does it, somebody might watch it. If they do, great. If they don't, fine. And that's definitely the attitude to take. This is like therapy session. Are we calling this therapy with Jack? Because now I'm thinking this is probably related to my childhood.
Right.
Where everything had to be a certain standard.
Right.
And it had to be the expectations were there, Yeah. And it's maybe connected to that. Why can't I just do something because I enjoy doing it? And it's a bit shit. Who cares? I did it. I enjoyed doing it.
Well, but if you think it's shit, and then you keep playing until you think it's what you want it to be. But if that's if that's been lost somewhere, which you having just raised that now is that feels to me like that could be a root of the box. Certainly a side to the box. These are all your words. I'm just trying to hold up a mirror.
No, absolutely. I think you're probably right. Yeah.
And again, I think this is just helpful for people out there or people watching to see this, and get all the different sides and understand what makes you you, so that they can perhaps reflect and go, oh. Like Ben, like we shot another guest, Gareth, who he and Ben afterwards was just like, oh my God, he's like my brain. That's exactly how I think. So it's going to be very interesting to see the comments and see what people, but also people find it very difficult because it's taped up their box or whatever. And so seeing any remote element of something that gets close to it or puts the finger on something or it's too much.
Yeah. Yeah, and I thought I had kind of broken down my box or most of it anyway, but I think you're right. I think there are a side or two left.
We've all got a blind side, bloody hell. I mean, I think surely you have to go out into the world to be humble enough to remember that. Because if you go out into the world thinking you've got it all sussed,
Oh no, well nobody's got it sussed.
Well, exactly. No. It's so interesting. It's so interesting. Do you feel you live an ordinary or an extraordinary life?
I would never say I live an ordinary life. Though using the word extraordinary, the first thing that comes to my mind is, oh no, well, I'm not special. So I wouldn't say I lived an ordinary life. Is the opposite of ordinary extraordinary? I guess it is. But I would never say that I lived an extraordinary life. And I think that I don't live an ordinary life for various reasons. I guess many of which are consequences of the big scary decisions that I've made. Yeah.
Because you're not 30 years into a corporate career.
No, I am not.
I'm
very grateful for it too. I think most people that work for themselves are maybe not living ordinary. I mean, what's ordinary? What's ordinary? You know, is it average? Does it translate as average? Is that what we're, you know? But yeah, I think working for yourself kind of puts you out of the ordinary already, really, because you've got, you know, you don't have to do the 9 to 5. You might, because as you say, it kind of helps. But also, certainly as a parent, you know, for me, it's helped me be able to choose my hours, spend time with my children, or regardless of children, you know, just, it's Tuesday. Do you know what? I fancy driving to Brighton and spend the day on the beach. You can do it. And you can work on Saturday instead. Or maybe don't work on Saturday instead. Maybe just have the day off. You know, it's like...
I never have time to edit the documentary. I don't know where it all goes.
I'd just like to clarify, I've never just driven to Brighton for the day spontaneously.
Yeah,
right. But no, you know, it's... hey, we've all got to look after ourselves. I am good at looking after myself. I think, you know, I think I do spend a lot more time, just going back to the, I've never got time to do the editing. I do spend a lot more time than most people on my well-being. That's the word. That's the current word people are using, right? Well-being. I do, because I think that is just first and foremost in life. We've had this conversation too, Jack. You're not so great at doing that, are you?
I'm not so great at that. But I was about to say, you'll be happy to know that I've gone back to therapy. And so that is my first step into actually spending some time on myself.
Well done. I'm pleased to hear that.
Yeah.
That makes me happy.
Yeah, makes me happy too. It's bloody,
I'm sure it does.
Yeah, that third place.
Well,
it's a starting point.
Yeah, it's a starting point. It's a starting point.
Still no exercise or anything, but you know, you get there.
Get on that bike.
It's terrible. It's terrible. But yeah, sacrifice, isn't it? You know, sort of feel like I've been building this business for sort of 3 to 5 years now, and it's just never end. There's always work to do, you know.
Yeah, there is. There is. But I think you've just got to, it's all about balance. And I know this is something with business. I think with regards to being a business owner, you know, there's this, traditionally, it's like, oh, if you set up a business, you've got to like put all the hours in, and there's you know, in the whole like entrepreneur lifestyle, and God. And, you know, it's all of that. And it's like, yeah, great, wonderful, if that's what you want to do, right?
I believe they call it founder culture.
Founder culture, right. Whatever it is, put in 23 hours in the day into your work. Great, if that's what turns you on. Super. But I think more and more people now, and I think specifically women, for a very obvious reason, that they maybe don't have, well, women that have got children, they don't maybe have as many hours in the day as their male counterparts. I know there are many men out there who are very involved with their children. And in fact, I work with somebody who is very heavily involved with his children, and it's great to see. But generally speaking, you know, women do spend more. And so there is this sort of culture now of women starting small businesses, and I'm sure there are men doing it as well. I'm not just saying it's a women's thing, I'm just saying because of the kids. You know, you sort of just start, and this is what happened to me, starting off part-time, fitting it around the kids, and then just building it very, very slowly. And I know quite a few people that are sort of doing that. And so they are building a successful business, but without the whole, you know, founder culture, working 23 hours in the day kind of thing, which is nice, I think, because you can look after yourself at the same time.
And it doesn't need to be more than it needs to be.
No.
There can always be that desire, but again, not enough time. To what extent do you feel like life is elsewhere?
To what extent do I
Do
feel?
you feel like life is happening elsewhere?
Not getting it.
Living in the moment.
First thing I think of, Eckhart Tolle, the
Mhm.
present.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? The power of now.
Mm-hmm. There you go. So, are you thinking about your documentary when you're with the kids?
Am I thinking about my documentary when I'm with the kids? No.
So you're with your kids.
Yep.
And you're with your kids.
Yep.
Living in the moment.
Right.
So to what extent do you feel like life is happening elsewhere?
I'm still not getting the question. Am I being thick?
Is it? It's this idea of are you where you want to be?
Right.
Do you find yourself thinking about wishing you'd be somewhere that you're not
Gotcha. Okay.
in terms of progress?
Right. Sometimes. Maybe not as much as other people. I really do try and just appreciate what was happening around me at the time, whether it be I'm with my kids, or whether it be I am out with the dogs and appreciating the woodland and nature and all of that, or whether it, whatever it is. But yes, there is always, I think, some sort of undercurrent. Well, not always. Often there is an undercurrent of I should be further along. Could have done that. Yeah. Not hugely. I wouldn't say I suffer because of it in any kind of way. I wouldn't say it has a negative impact on me. I think if anything, it's more kind of motivating, I suppose. But it doesn't prevent me from appreciating just what is happening at that time.
It's an interesting one, though, isn't it? It's because I cannot. Like, I'm terrible. I'm always,
You can't switch off.
a year ahead or whatever of where I want to get to, kind of situation. So it's yeah. I mean, I would say that you're incredibly able to do that. Certainly, that's the sense that I get from having known you for 2.5 years. But that's why it's such an interesting question, because I don't know that. So when you say sometimes, that's surprising, because we're all very good at saying this is who I am and this is who I want you to see. But it's the vulnerability and and pushing through that to show that actually, yeah, sometimes I wish I was there and I'm not, and I'm thinking about it and I can't put it down or whatever. Tell me about envy.
Envy. Yeah, it happens. It happens. But I am good now. Never used to be. at recognizing that it's not particularly healthy, and that whatever I'm feeling or whoever I'm feeling envious of at that moment, I know absolutely nothing about. Well, maybe I do, but really you don't know what's going on inside. You don't know their life experiences. You don't know, just, and I'm very good at just catching myself and just thinking about my life and thinking, well, I know I've got these amazing things going on, and maybe they don't have that. So, yeah, it does happen. But I stop myself.
Where did you learn that?
Reading.
Hmm.
Just a journey, a recent journey of, well, I say recent, that's not true at all. Over 10 years. Yeah, maybe 4, how old am I? 14, no longer than that, 16-year journey of, I don't like the word spiritual, but just self-improvement, which has been a series of books, meditation, conversations, Yeah, that's where that's come from. And yeah, just learning more about people.
It's been such a pleasure having you on. Thank you.
It's been my absolute pleasure to be here. As ever, always up for a chat with Jack.
You're very kind. Marvellous.